Marcus and Mack, a law firm representing injured people. Good morning to you. What a gorgeous day, huh?
Yeah, nice fall day. Good morning.
It's absolutely beautiful. Hey, school board is meeting tonight, and it's a work session. And one of the items that I noted on it, and I'm going to use you sort of as a sort of a test case for folks to understand what ESSERS funds are and how ESSERS funds can be used. I know Mr. Martini will be talking about ESSERS funds tonight, and this is something that school districts have to be really wise in how they use these funds, isn't it?
Yeah, you're correct, Todd. The first round, there was ESSERS 1, ESSERS 2, and then they came out with the American Recovery Act, which is the third stream of money that came from the federal government that is channeled through the state. And you're correct. It's one-time monies. Many of the districts in the county got a significant amount of funds to help support students as we've moved through this pandemic. So we're doing our best here at Marion Center to provide every opportunity we can for kids and continue to fill any learning gap that may have been created because of the pandemic.
Yeah, and that's, I think, something people need to understand is that there are restrictions on the use of the funds, but it's really easy for you to find any number of items that you can spend these funds on to benefit the kids.
Absolutely. We've used a significant amount of funds just for mitigation techniques, masks and cleaning supplies, and the standard stuff that you would assume we would use to battle COVID. But again, with a dire need to find substitutes and make sure we have enough boots on the ground day in and day out, we've hired some long-term subs to fill some unique positions to add additional support to our students as they transition in and out of quarantine, or those students of ours that decide to go virtual or be in our cyber academy, just to make sure that we're doing the best we can. It's definitely not optimal. Mm-hmm. The pandemic, as we've stressed for the last year and a half, has caused some challenges for us. But we're working through it and trying to do the best we can for our kids and our community. And those extra funds definitely help support that.
Your issues, of course, are similar to issues that other school directors and administrators are dealing with. How is it going in terms of personnel and teachers? It's not easy to find teachers, and then in this environment with teachers needing off for this or for that, and with the specter of things going on, that there's that problem going on as well. You okay there?
Yeah, we're good. Something alert on my phone went off. I apologize.
Okay, that's okay. But how are you doing in terms of filling up the classroom with teachers?
We're holding our own. It is a challenge with substitute teachers. I mean, our teachers are doing a great job showing up for work. But again, we do struggle with quarantines, and it is natural. Folks get sick and need a day off now and then. And I think all the local districts have scrambled and gathered up some long-term subs and tried to get as strong a workforce as they can. So as we said last time you and I talked, the pool is thin out there for substitutes, but we're doing our best to cover the buildings and do what we can for kids. But it's a challenge day in and day out. It was tough before the pandemic, and now the pool of substitute teachers and those folks who want to come in and work in the schools gets thinner every day, it seems like. Yeah. But again, those folks that are showing up and are doing a great job for us, we greatly appreciate them.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's an opportunity, actually, for folks who might not be trained as teachers to apply skills they've learned down through the years in their professions, that they could actually be a part of this ratio or of this mix, can't they?
Yes. Anybody that has a 4-year degree can go through a brief training program, and then they can substitute teach for us. And all they got to do is call into the office. We have a program to get that set up, and so does our intermediate unit.
Now, do they have to go get their clearances themselves, or is the school district able to help with that?
They have to get their clearances, but we'll point them in direction and help them out with how they register for it and all those things if they're not familiar.
All right, and that would be a great advantage to the school district. And I bet it'd be really interesting work for those folks who take advantage of that as well. I wanted to ask... So go ahead.
No, I just say it's very interesting. As you said, some of the folks that come in that may be retired or at a point in their career where they have a few days off to come in and work in the schools, it's definitely a unique experience for them, and sometimes it brings some interesting things to the plate for our students.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. I wanted to ask you about this, too. I wanted to make sure I asked you about this when we spoke last time, and I'd never got to it. Your Buildings and Grounds and Transportation Committee will be meeting tonight as well. The building in which the high school is located is an old building, and a couple of years ago there was even the thought of maybe replacing that building with a brand new one. And those sorts of things, the actual infrastructure of a school district, are things that have to be dealt with. And administrators and school boards have to come up with a plan that is either going to adapt an existing structure to today's needs or replace an existing structure with something that is new and is going to meet those needs. If you could spend a couple of moments talking about that, because there's an air quality study that Mr. Martini is going to address today as well. And tell us about the actual physical structures in the Marion Center District. Right now you're operating in the 3 buildings, correct?
Correct. We have the Rain Elementary, the W.A. McCreary, and then, of course, our junior-senior high school. All of our buildings are, our most recent renovation, I believe, was in the early 90s. It rained. So our buildings are not as new as some. Of course, our high school goes back as far as 1929, the tower section in our high school. With the state eliminating Plan-Con several years back, to where they would reimburse districts a portion for any kind of construction projects, it makes it tough for us rural districts to take on a big building project. But you had said to modify and adapt. That is what we are doing in the high school and our other buildings, trying to just keep, again, we have good roofs, good boiler systems, and good teachers. So we're just trying to continue to move forward with innovation within our infrastructure to provide those learning opportunities for students. And it is a challenge. Tonight you're going to hear us talk about the air quality study that we did and some options for possibly some air quality improvements to help mitigate any kind of virus or influenza and so forth within our air systems, and also possibly an upgrade to some of our air conditioning systems. Again, we're making decisions that are based upon the infrastructure of our buildings, and it's not going to be a brand new Taj Mahal, but it will be added and needed improvements for our students.
Yeah, and that Plan-Con funding, when that whole formula changed coming out of Harrisburg, getting really hit, you're right, districts like yours, rural districts where your tax base isn't great, and there's probably no school district in Pennsylvania, or very few, that say, yes, we have enough money, we can take on a major project. We can take on an $80 or $90 million project. That just isn't happening in our area, is it?
It's not. And what when you spoke earlier of the district, entertaining a building project, that was back, I believe, in the day when we had consolidated a couple elementary schools. And the price of doing business then was way cheaper than it is today. And without Plan-Con, it just makes it almost unfeasible for a school district of our statute to pull it off. So we continue. Our buildings and grounds guys do a great job of keeping our campuses up to date and functional for our students. And we're doing the best with what we got, focusing on opportunities for kids. Necessarily, it's the teachers you put in front of kids and the atmosphere you create for them was where learning occurs, and that's what we're shooting for.
Clint Weimer is our guest. He is the superintendent of the Marion Center School District, talking issues within the school district buildings themselves and actually the buildings. There are, I'm sure, great academic achievements that are going on every day in all of our school districts, and Marion Center would be included in that. What are some of the things that are happening this fall, and what are some of the things you think people need to know about what's happening within your buildings?
Well, again, everything's so foreshadowed by the pandemic. Again, our students are showing up every day and working hard, making great achievements in their classes. We're looking forward to, as we begin here, I guess I hate to say it, close out our fall sports season and seeing the energy and the atmosphere that creates for our students, and just the excitement for having them on campus and not worried about whether we have to go viral or virtual tomorrow. It is a concern, but having the consistency of having our kids on campus here every day since the start of school, I think it's just done great things for our student population and our community. And we're just looking to have as normal school year as possible. And those key events that make public education so special, we're really focused on making sure they happen.
Yeah, I'm guessing as well that nobody is taking a normal school day for granted anymore. Like maybe we did before the pandemic hit. Now we understand what a special privilege it is to be able to gather together with others, and especially in this educational setting. It's so important for the kids from a social standing, let alone from the educational aspect of it.
I couldn't agree more. And we do have mitigation techniques that we are using that it doesn't, when we say normal, it doesn't look like what it was a couple of years ago, but all our kids are here. We're participating in recess, we're participating in gym, our extracurricular, we're eating lunch together. It is definitely a more social environment, a more enriching environment for our students than previous year where we had to do the AB day and the staggered starts and things like that. So it's vital for our kids and our community and the adults within the community to have a functioning public school system to where we can look forward to the events that occur within our school districts.
Yeah, absolutely. You used the word energy before, and the energy is up. I've noticed it at all of our school districts, and, well, that's the case at Marion Center as well. Clint Weimer, thank you so much for visiting with us today.
Hey, thank you, Todd, and we'll talk to you next month.
Beautiful. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
It is the voice of Indiana County, WCCS 101.1 FM and AM 1160.